Okay, here we go. Welcome, candidate.
Yeah, first, we got to say thank you to our sponsor.
There you go. Very important.
Monariz water.
Our water.
Appreciate it. Everyone
Our
loves
water.
it. All right?
It does.
John, I appreciate it. The support, okay?
And by the way, I like to always put in there that it is glass.
It is glass.
And now everybody's talking about the whole glass situation.
Yeah.
So nice and crisp, right, Richard?
Delicious,
Delicious
refreshing.
water.
Second
Delicious
thing
water.
is, this is our first special election.
Listen, this is important for us because we want to, you know what we like to do here in the day of Miami. We like to bring content to all of our residents, and we like people to know what's going on. And that's why it's called the day of Miami, Richard. We are vested in this because this is an important race.
Yep.
Mr. Moya.
Richard, Mr. Lara, for those people who don't know you in the community,
Sure.
Okay, and then who may not know your past or your history, tell a little bit about yourself, your family, your history, and the reason you're running for commission.
Well, thank you both very much for having me on the podcast today. Maybe it's a special edition. It's like a day in Coral Gables.
There you go.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud to say that I'm a proud resident of Coral Gables. I moved here in 1983 with my parents. My grandparents lived here before my parents moved here.
Okay.
And then my mom and my dad and my brother and I, when we moved here, my parents always lived here. My father passed away in 2015, never left in the same house on Camilo Avenue. And my mother lives with me as well right now. So we're very blessed to still have her with me. She's 92 and beautiful and very, very healthy. I'm very blessed for that. Married to my wife, Bertha.
Good genes.
Yeah, well, you can't pick your parents.
No.
So I'm very lucky on that front. Married to my beautiful wife, Bertha. We have 3 beautiful children, Gabrielle, Victoria, and Alexandra, and 3 dogs.
Oh, boy. Father of 3 girls.
Yeah, I'm out.
Damn.
I'm a father of 1. He's a father of 1.
Outgunned in all respects, and a very blessed guy. So the beautiful thing about my life, since you're asking me about a little bit of a background, is I was blessed to be able to attend Coral Gables Senior High School.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I did, and I had a great time. I graduated in the top 10% of my class. I was editor-in-chief of the high school newspaper.
That's awesome.
Yep. I was Silver Knight for journalism for Gables High. And I had the great honor of going back 3 weeks ago because my newspaper advisor, Brenda Feldman, was being honored for 40 years of teaching. And so I've never, ever lost my roots or my connections to the city. We did move in 2003 after I was married here at the Church of Little Flower.
Yeah.
After, had my reception at the Biltmore. My kids were born here. My first condominium was on Valencia, where I bought.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And then I also bought my first house was on Cadagua. And then I've been a member of the Riviera Country Club now for over 25 years. So it's very simple.
Can we get an invite to play some golf?
Listen, we could just say you're vested already in Coral Gables, brother.
I would say that it's an easy and it's not much of a stretch to say that I've always called Coral
But what, you
Gables
left
home.
the city or you moved out of town?
Well, we moved 7 miles west to live across the street from my in-laws.
Gotcha.
So my wife felt it was important to be near her parents. Ultimately her father was doing very badly. He had a form of cancer, and she was his caregiver for several years, every single day. And he passed away in 2019, right before the pandemic. So we were blessed that he didn't have to be in a hospital during the pandemic.
Right.
But during the pandemic, and the plan was also always to come back to Coral Gables, where all my life really centered, after he passed away. So we moved back during the pandemic. So now I bought our home, beautiful historic home on Coral Way in Granada on the corner. And that's where we've been since 2021.
So you have a wonderful life. Wonderful family.
I know where you're going.
Home, everything. Why do this?
Well, I would say
that's what Manny's always saying.
Yeah. In addition to having such a wonderful home life, because I'm very blessed. I've been general counsel for the last 9 years for Spanish Broadcasting System.
Okay.
So it's maintained a very busy day for me.
Staple in Miami. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very few, and I'm very proud. It's one of the few publicly traded companies that's based here in Miami. Before that, for 25 years, I was litigating with my own firm. So
you're an attorney by trade.
I'm an attorney by trade.
Any specification or?
Yeah, so I'm a recovering litigator because I was doing that for the first 25 years, doing commercial litigation. I'm AV rated, which is the highest rating you get from Martindale-Hubbell. I served proudly as a commissioner on the Judicial Nominating Commission for the 3rd District Court of Appeal. In fact, 7 sitting appellate court judges have gone through my commission. It was the busiest one probably in 30 years. I serve as a member. I'm on the board of directors for Easter Seals South Florida. I've done that for several years. I'm also the current chair of development. So Easter Seals is like the best kept secret. Like, I want to change that in Miami because we do so much
I've known
work.
Easter Seals for many, many years.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, Easter Seals is well. I mean, listen, I worked with Sister Seals years ago, but but again, I think it had a moment there that's everybody knew about Easter Seals, and all of a sudden it went quiet.
But for those people who don't know, what is?
Well, Easter Seals is one of the oldest charitable organizations that provides awareness, funds, services, in particular for Alzheimer's as well as for autism. So the youth all the way through the senior citizens. We provide adult daycare and we preschool for the kids. We have 7 centers around the city. It is a national organization, but I sit on the board for the South Florida Easter Seals. So we're going to get you out there to play some golf.
Sure, I would love that.
We have Golf Fiesta happening in the beginning of May, and we do a lot of great work. Well, the point of all this, right?
Yeah.
I said I have a full life, and I love to give back. I also volunteer at the University of Miami School of Law. I serve as a mock trial judge, a mentor to law students, and I do this at Lord's Academy.
Oh, well, my daughter goes to Lord's.
Well, I know that, Manny. And in fact, all 3 of my kids have gone to Lord's Academy. My wife also is a graduate of Lord's Academy. I think they should be erecting a statue, whether to you or to me.
No. Well, yeah, no. I was there yesterday for the induction they were doing the Honor Society thing. So a proud father of one of the for business. She got in there for business.
That's fantastic.
So, you know,
but why did I get into the race?
Yeah.
Which is the question.
The question is, why does Richard Lara, to Moya's point, now we got to direct him to Mr. Moya. We just found out that today, but that's okay. So basically, why does Richard Lara, with living his life that he do, say, why do you want to get into this thing, which I feel, and let me just say this, I don't know what the hell has gone on in Coral Gables, because I've said this in various podcasts. I am not a resident of Coral Gables, but I'm an office resident of Coral Gables for many, many, many years.
Where do you live, sir?
And I have never, ever, ever in the history of Coral Gables, since my time in politics, have I ever seen the chaos that has been formed in this commission.
Well, Manny, I couldn't have put it any better than you did right there. So 2 years ago, enjoying my life, enjoying all that this beautiful city has to offer, I feel that I was watching it begin to slip away. So the Coral Gables that I've known since 1983, I mean, since the days of Dorothy Thompson,
Absolutely.
right? Raul Valdez-Fowler, Jim Kaysen, Dawn Slesnick.
Sure.
Right? This is the governing body that we had, which was the shining example to all the communities of how we should govern ourselves. Coral Gables has always led the way, and the Coral Gables residents deserve the best. And we've had that, except in the last 2 years. I can pin it down to when we had an election where Ariel Fernandez and Melissa Castro were elected as commissioners, and one of the lowest turnouts in history.
I remember, sure.
And so a very small, tiny percentage of the electorate made a decision that changed the course that this city was traveling on for the worse, to be honest with you. I'd be happy to discuss with you what I saw.
I think they took, a lot of people, I think, took the election for granted. A lot of people just figured, because that's why, going back to my original question with Coral Gables, everybody's always been used to Coral Gables being steady, perfect, not an issue, no controversies.
City beautiful.
Then, everybody tells you, what is it that you don't like about these people? It's not that I don't like these people. It's like, all you got to do is just think about it. When has there been chaos? Because it's not that you come to disrupt a city for something good. Right. You're disrupting the city for something bad, which for me, the worst one of all has been, and I want you to see it, you can answer this, is like, who the hell are you to raise your salary? That's, for me, kills me. Listen, I always say this. I come from the days of Dade County. And every time the commissioners want to raise their salaries, you have to go ask your boss. And who's the boss? Exactly. The residents of Coral Gables.
We are.
Who are you to go ahead and just do this double play how you just did, in the sense of, let me just get this by. Raise your salaries, raise your car allowance without the taxpayer saying yay or nay on it. I don't understand that.
Well, first of all, to your point, right? It is not personal, right? I'm not speaking about
me neither.
Commissioner Fernandez, Commissioner Castro, or former Commissioner Kirk Menendez on a personal level. But their decisions on the most controversial votes that they've been casting, which is 3-2 over the mayor, Vince Lago, and the vice mayor, Rhonda Anderson, I completely and passionately disagree with. So on the issue of the pay raises, right, It is as if somebody came into my bedroom in the middle of the night, opened up my wallet, and just took out money because I wasn't consulted and I didn't even know about it until after the fact, me, the resident. So there wasn't even public notice to have a debate, a discussion, or to hear any commentary from the residents as to whether or not there should be a change to compensation, let alone an increase in compensation. When does, and you're a business owner, right? When does the employee come to you and say, hey, I've given myself a raise, but not just a raise, I'm going to in total double it and more than double it. So you almost had it right, Manny. It was, sure, a doubling in the salary, but they didn't just increase car allowances. They gave themselves a car allowance that never existed before. They just gave themselves, and that's to do service here in the city that need to have almost $9,000 a year to be able to drive to do business in the city. By the way, no receipts, no logging of miles, no explanation of how you use it. That money went and goes directly into their checking accounts. So, not to sound, crass, but we are in an exigent circumstance right now. You could refer to them as Commissioner Maserati, Commissioner Cadillac, and Commissioner Mercedes, because within 2 weeks, that's what you see.
Well, how if you get those damn raises? I mean,
listen, you've been walking a lot and speaking to residents on a personal level. I think that's one of the most important things you can do. What are the residents saying? What is it, the feeling in the city?
Right. The feeling in the city, and I have walked for over a year. I started this in February of 2024, and I have walked the city, it feels to me, twice already, okay, the entire city. And the number one issue is an absolute dissatisfaction and an alarm that they have over the embarrassment, at best, that the commission looks like, and the dangerous nature of the decisions that are taking are concerning the residents about the future of the city. But I got to say, the issue of the pay raise resonates near the very top. In fact, I've said to the residents, I've made it perfectly clear to everybody that if elected, I am going to roll back that pay increase, even though I'm the one that would be, if elected, entitled to it. I'm rolling it back to what it was before it was hijacked.
Well, I think that's perfect. I mean, I think it should go the correct way, in the sense of you can roll it back and then if you want to take it to the residents.
Manny, this is my point. It's not that I believe that a commissioner should decide how much it should be that you earn, because I'm not making that decision. What I'm saying is I want to reset it back to what it was, because even though it may have been technically lawful to do what they did, it is morally incompatible with being residents first.
Well, I don't know if it's moral or not, but I'll be pissed if you tell me if an employee all of a sudden now starts writing her check, and then ask me for a raise. I mean, that's.
But what we're not looking for is a ping pong of every time there's a commission that we're going to have a different. But what it should be, and what I'm going to move for, is that we take it back to what it was before it was hijacked, and then if anyone is interested in a change to compensation, it will be then going to a referendum and have the bosses of the commissioners decide whether there's
and that's where I'm going to go. And I'll leave you with this one, so Eddie can say, go for it. All I'm saying is that even though I'm all for the fact that people should get paid for what you work. I'm all for it. But the word public servant, that you're running for service and you're asking for my vote, if either you like these people or don't like these people, you have to be upset that nobody should go ahead and do an increase on their own salaries without going and asking for the people that elected for you.
Manny, that point is so precise, because when I've spoken to the residents, many of them misunderstand and say that I think, some will say, I think it's okay how much they're making at the other end of this. But I said, I've never said that the amount they made is too much or too little. It's the process that was absolute. And then when I explained to them that you may have been happy maybe with the way, for the ones that were, how it came out, what if you weren't? Then you would be wondering what happened to the process.
100%.
They agree then they get it.
Yeah. Two things could be true at the same time. And in that case, it seems like one of those situations. I think throughout the whole county, garbage fees is a problem.
Yep.
Taxes are a problem. Property values are going up. You're paying more tax. You got less money in your checking account. A lot of the residents that live in the Gables are, probably a little bit more older in age, so they're probably on retirement and Social Security, etc.
Every dollar counts, right?
That's my point. I wanted to get your position on the garbage fees and the taxes of the city.
Right. Well, with respect to the garbage fees, right, they were lowered already this year, except for Commissioner Menendez, right? He voted against the lowering of the fees. But he was all in favor of giving himself a double raise.
I don't know.
Is there any logic behind that?
You remember the old show of Arsenio Hall that said the things that make you go, So that's something the things that make you go, Like
We're showing our age here, Manny. We're showing our age.
I mean, what?
With respect to taxes, all politicians will say, I'm in favor of lowering taxes, unless you're this current majority in the commission, right? Which they're in favor of always, I believe, increasing expenses and increasing the taxes. I'm all in favor of looking at the budget. I think we need to start at the budget before we even start talking about the millage rate. There are expenses. There is what I would consider to be even waste at this point inside the budget. It starts with making sure that we look at it from a zero-sum reset to zero, and whatever you put onto the budget, since you're using the taxpayers' money, that's considered a tax on the resident, and you have to make sure that you account for every dollar that goes in. I've knocked on doors on Country Club Prado. I met a woman whose mother is turning 110. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And she says, but I'm on a fixed income, right? So if you could have given me even a little bit of a reduction, right? Assuming that the mayor, for example, would have gotten his requested millage rate reduction of 1 or 2%, it would have made a difference to the positive for her. Yeah. I think it's kind of arrogant to say the reduction in the taxes is too small to pay attention to it. And that's arrogant.
No, every dollar counts.
Every dollar counts.
Especially
and it doesn't matter if you have money or if you don't. It's
no. So I'm a big supporter, right, of being fiscally responsible and because we're the stewards of the taxpayers' money. Yep. I mean, we're all taxpayers, and we got to make sure that there's no waste in it, especially in this day and age.
So, Richard, and another big question. So, right now, what is this? We have a special. This is now a runoff, correct?
Correct.
So, explain to the folks, because this is one that just also another one that makes me go It's like, why do we have these elections in this month? I mean, why can't we just be like other normal places and have our elections in November?
Well, I am, as everyone who's listened to my platform, and I've spoken to all the residents, 100% in favor of moving the elections from April of odd years. It's not even just April. It's April of odd years to November of even years.
Doesn't this cost more money?
Wait, it costs us in many ways. Let's talk money. It's going to be well in excess of $200,000 to have a special election. We have 14 precincts manned for what will be, in the end, in April of an odd year, a banner year if you can get to like 20 or 25% of the electorate that's registered to vote. And then if there's a runoff, the likelihood of a runoff is astronomical when you have 3 people running in a race. And that's what we've seen since the rule was amended almost a decade ago to allow for only the winner being who was ever over 50%. Right. Because I got in this last election over 47% of the votes cast.
Yeah, and I also think it's a disservice to the community now. In this case, is a runoff, and it happens to land on Easter weekend. So that's another situation too.
Well, this is what happens time and time again, including the one in 2023. So we have one of the early day voting is on Sunday, Easter Sunday, and then the Tuesday election day is during spring break. So all the people that came out to vote during the general election, some believe that their duty was done when they voted because they may not even be aware. I have received, Manny Moya, so many congratulatory texts because they understood I got over 47% of the vote.
They're right.
Now I've got to go back to each and every one of them.
It has to be 50 plus 1.
No, and I got to go back to each and every one of them and say, no, please, your work is not done. I need your vote again.
Correct.
And then for those who know that there's a runoff, now they're calling me from vacation saying, how do I do this? Hurry up and sign up for a vote by mail ballot, right?
Yeah.
This complication.
So wait, I think that's important. For people who are not going to be here, by what time do they need to sign
That was yesterday.
Oh, that was yesterday, right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, we tried to get the word out as fast as we could. But if you did already register for vote by mail, you will be automatically receiving your ballot again.
Okay, great.
So keep a lookout in the mailbox for that one.
So what are the dates, Richard? People can do early voting.
Right. So early voting is the weekend, Saturday the 19th at the Coral Gables Library from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
And then Easter Sunday the 20th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Coral Gables Library.
Maybe we can do like a little Easter egg hunt while they're there so kids can go, we can do like a little thing and bring the people.
It's going to increase the cost of the elections.
Yeah. Well, what the hell not? I mean, they're paying for it already. I mean, come on. I mean, who are the dummies that came up with this situation of spending taxpayer money in Coral Gables to do this election when they can do it in November? For the love.
Well, can I tell you this, Manny, and this is very important. When you have a November even year election, the percentage of the turnout is exceeding 80%. So it's not that Coral Gables residents don't vote, right? It's that it's unclear, or not top of mind, or they're not in town, and it's not about quantity versus quality. I believe that everybody who lives in the city should be given a fair 100%. Opportunity to be able to vote and be encouraged to do so.
Of course.
And to vote for or suggest that it should be kept in April of odd years, to me, is akin to voter suppression. You're trying to make it difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like now all of a sudden the general elections, they want to move them from November.
But if you're voted in, you guys think you can get it cleared to come back to November?
What we'll need to do is, and hopefully, if elected, I can get support, and I think I can from a majority on the commission to put this to the Charter Review Committee and see if we can get an amendment to the city's charter, which is the city's constitution. To move it to November.
Is that difficult to do, or
would the voters be then voting for that?
Yes, it would be put to referendum. And by the way,
what I want the voters to vote.
No, and that's the way that it's going to be for the most important issues in the city, Manny, is that has to be put to the voters.
Absolutely,
right?
Everything should be put to the voters. You know, that's how it should go. Richard, what about annexation? A lot of talk about annexation with Little Gables in the last year. Where did you stand on that? What was going on with that?
Well, the way that I see it, Manny, right, there was already a vote this past August, right? And to be honest, the voters have already spoken, right? That issue has been put to bed by the voters. It is no longer an issue that's before us today, right? However, if elected, what I really think would be great and is consistent with what we've been talking about today and what I've been talking about with the voters all this time is that we should ultimately put it to a referendum. And the way to do that is to go to the Charter Review Committee and lobby for an amendment to the charter to the charter itself, that annexation issues like that can only be accomplished through referendum. And that way we have opportunity to listen to the voters, to have education for the voters, and in the end, it reflects the will of the voters.
Right.
So that's where I am on that, because that's a controversial issue. There's no one way or right way.
Yeah, you have a whole bunch of people I love it and some people I hate it.
Right. It cuts in so many different ways.
Right.
And so since it's something that important, it should be something done through amendment to the charter.
That's the fair way.
What areas are they trying to annex?
The Little Gables is the big one, right? And then, and like I said, it's a complicated issue because, if you listen to the police chief, right, he'll say it's easier for them to be able to patrol if you annex because you square off the borders versus having multiple borders coming in, right? And so, there are those who that's very high to them is the issue of safety. For others, it's this Live Local, right? The Live Local Act. So you have a statute that's going to give incentives to developers to build higher if they include more low-income units. Well, if that happens and you're outside the border and it remains not annexed, right, you can have a massive development literally inside of Coral Gables without any oversight from our.
Got you.
So, but I can see a lot of arguments that cut both ways, and the voters went on the issue, have already spoken on basically a straw poll that they took regarding it. But I would like to have a committee appointed, talk to the Charter Review Committee to assess this issue, make a recommendation to have the charter amended. I would love to see it be that it goes to referendum, and that way we have the will of the people best expressed.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Actually, I've heard a lot about that, especially in the comments. A lot of people talk about that part. Okay, so we go out every day here. I love Miracle Mile.
Yeah, me
love
too.
the new development with the plaza.
Yep.
We have clients, Maisi Agave, a lot of new things happening in the city. What they did with Giralda Ave was wonderful.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I want to get your point of view. How you've seen downtown Miracle Mile grow, even after when COVID kind of hit it a little bit hard, and then now it's like roaring back. It's like Coral Gables is the place to be right now, and you feel it.
I agree. You understand that I'm almost living in a bubble at this point, because anything that I can do, whether it's to live, learn, work, or play, if I can do it in Coral Gables, that's where I'm going to do it, right? And Giralda is like my spot, right? It's great to walk up and down that street.
You can just go to a restaurant every day.
Absolutely, a different one. Plus the shopping. The best has to be like you guys who work right here in Coral Gables. Yeah. You have a playground of the world at your feet, right? But I think that although Miracle Mile has done quite a bit coming out of a big time black eye they got from COVID, there's still so much more to do. I mean, we still have a lot of vacant, unleased area there that's prime. And I think that they're battling quite a bit still with rents that are too high and how to find the parking solution, right? That's another issue. I talk to the residents and they'll say parking is a big issue for them. Listen, I live not far away on the corner of Granada and Coral Way. And so I walk to Miracle Mile. It would be great if we could have the Freebee, which is the free electric vehicle service here, go a little bit wider radius, because I think that if you get more residents to be able to start using the Freebee, here's how we solve many things, right, Manny? You get number one, you cut down on traffic 100%. Because when people are using the Freebie, there's less cars on the road. You cut down on parking because you're not parking. You're going to be taken to where you need to go. And then number three, you're going to stimulate more economic spend, right? Because instead of me wondering whether it's worth going down because I can't find a parking spot, now I can buy, shop, or enjoy, spend more dollars, and then get back into the vehicle and take me back home.
So that's a good point. We work here. We have our own little scooters that we zoom around in the back there. But
I don't. That's you.
A lot of people
I'd like to see that.
I've seen the freebies. A lot of people see those freebies. Nobody knows how it works and how to access it. Okay, can you guide? Yeah, I suppose. But can you guide people? Even here in the office, in the agency, people are like, I don't know how to use a freebie. Can you guide people on how it is that they operate it?
I'm all thumbs when it comes to apps, right? But I know how to order an Uber. So this is just like ordering an Uber. You download the Freebie app, right?
And it's completely free.
It is 100% free.
Wow.
Absolutely. And
now, it's important. How fast do they come to you? Is it like relatively quick?
It depends on the hours that you're seeking. Right? There's peak hours and
sure, during lunch hours,
But I've had it come within 3 minutes. I've sometimes waited 10 minutes. It's not brutal, and it's a wonderful ride. I only wish that it could expand its radius, and we're working on that. And that's because the people have said
is that something when you get elected? Is there something you can bring up?
That's big time.
Yeah, that is one of my initiatives, right?
That'd be great.
And we have an opportunity here, a very good one, because one of the candidates in the race that was running in my race for Group 3 was Claudia Miró.
Okay.
And Claudia Miró is an executive at Freebee, the company that has the contract with the city. Okay. Right. So I happen to have a good relationship with her, and I'm going to be looking forward to working with her on her input, with her ideas and her contacts, and we can collaborate. That's one of the ones that I want to own. Expanding the Freebie.
I think that's a smart idea. That's very smart.
I mean, I don't know what residents wouldn't love that.
It's pretty much, listen, to not make it complicated, it's a free Uber.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But even for the people...
I wish you would keep on saying that. You guys are in marketing, right?
We're not being paid by Freebie.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're not.
Oh, we should be.
Don't talk anymore about that. No, but listen, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to tell you is that even it makes sense for all the residents.
It does.
I mean, let's be real. You want to go have maybe a glass of wine in an afternoon with your wife or whatever, take the Freebie. You don't have to think about the sense of driving and parking
up. And it's almost your private car. It'll take you to where you need to go. Yeah. Right. And you feel like you're doing something good for the environment as well, right?
Well, Richard, these are electric. All I know is that has to be one of your first things.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Freebie.
And also too, I suppose you're waiting for it and you have other neighbors that are probably in there and you get to talk and people.
It's one of the easiest things to get advocates.
No, we love our neighbors here.
No, everybody's in favor of that. And you know what? Necessity is the mother of invention, right?
That's true.
And that is necessity.
That's a good point.
I think it's important.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, Richard. So again, I really want to emphasize this because one of our purposes, again, that we're doing this podcast today is because we do care about Coral Gables. At the Miami, our headquarters are here, and we've seen the chaos. We've seen the chaos. We've heard it. I mean, we get comments on a day in Miami of residents that live in Coral Gables, and we've seen the chaos. And again, I'm not saying for another reason. Coral Gables has never had this. I mean,
never.
I don't want to compare to other cities,
right?
In Miami, but
stay here, right?
But they're comparing to self, so other cities are that you're used to seeing in the news with all this chaos.
Manny, I hate to say this, but it seems to me, because people ask me exactly what you're both asking me now. How is it that these decisions are being made this way by these individuals in particular? And since lack of respect is top of mind, I think it could be as easy as this. If you're going to win any argument before you even start it, then why be civil? Why even bother trying to convince somebody?
That's a good point.
I hate to think that might be what's going on here, but it's hard to deny the obvious, right? And I also think that, let's face it, there are some individuals that I wonder whether they should even be on the commission, right? We had one commissioner who was, this was his only job. Right. Yeah. So when I'm against the idea of looking at this as a paid, salaried, full-time employment. It's not. It's public service.
We've seen in other campaigns, national and all over the United States, of other like, groups, I mean, of people putting in money into these, all these people to create chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
And God only knows if some of these people, I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody, but I don't know if anybody of these people have any of these groups, putting stuff to create chaos. Why? I mean, when you have such a great place, to your point, where you live, where you play, where you can work, and everything is great, and then all of a sudden, I mean, see all these, and it's not even chaos that makes sense.
Look, one of the things that you're bringing up is a great point. If somebody on the commission is denying that there's chaos, well, that flies in the face of other accusations that the place is corrupt, right?
Yeah.
So we had a commissioner who was saying that, if I remember correctly, he said that the city of Coral Gables Commission is adrift in a cesspool of corruption and that he's there to lead us out of the muck. Well, that was Commissioner Menendez who said that. Well, how is it that he was voting against an inspector general?
Because I remember that commission, and it came out that somebody proposed to let's put an inspector general.
Well, Vince Lago did, the mayor.
So then if you're saying, we're corrupt,
right,
and then they bring up the thing, okay, let's bring an inspector general. The guy goes, nope, I don't want it. So,
Vince is playing 4D chess.
I don't know what gummies that guy's eating. It's not vitamins, but I don't know what gummies he's eating, and they just don't make sense to me. It's just
a natural, reaction.
Again, here we go. The things that make you go.
That's gonna be. We're gonna have a segment on that now. I like that.
I don't understand.
Today on the things that make you go,
Because I just keep on saying, for me, I mean, I know people keep on saying no, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of comments with this. People saying, because this and that. And I go, listen, it doesn't matter if you like these people or you like the other person. It's just a question that I keep on saying. To your point, when you would ask these people, I'm okay with them raising their salaries. That's fine. But you're okay with the fact of just, pulling it, fast one on you? Right. You don't want to vote for it? No, I don't care. Well, then that's fine. That's you. But that's not me. I want to vote for if you deserve a salary. I want to be the person, like in my office here, when we do reviews with employees of who deserves, okay, this
is my review up soon, please?
This, so it's a little bit on the wishy side, but
quarterly reviews are coming up now.
You look at the sentence saying, "Hey, are you moving this person to this position?" I mean, everybody, and it doesn't matter where you work,
right? Well, that I feel that I've tried so many cases when I was a younger guy. And I always felt like no matter how complicated the issues are, the jury way more than not got it right. And I feel that this election has been just like that, because in getting the issues out to the residents who don't necessarily know what you two and what I know so well, they are, number one, surprised that these are, in fact, things that are being decided in the city. They just don't know. And then when you explain to them what's going on and how it should be, it's an easy sell because it's the truth. And people want here a return to rationality, decency.
At least.
Right.
So you're in a runoff with your opponent, Tom Wells. Early voting begins Saturday the 19th.
Correct.
All right. At Coral Gables Library.
7 to 7.
7 to 7. Why? What makes you different from your opponent?
Well,
why should people go and vote for you?
Well, Tom Wells is, the simplest thing to say is Tom Wells is more of the same. Tom Wells was appointed by Commissioner Menendez to serve on the Charter Review Committee. So here you have the Charter Review Committee is the body that convenes to give their opinion and their advice regarding the city's constitution. So it's important who you select because it's your views and your way of thinking through your surrogate, through your representative. So Tom Wells is Kirk Menendez's. Now, when I started running in February 24, I was seeking Kirk Menendez's seat. It wasn't until December of that year that he pivoted to then go into the mayoral race.
Right.
And so his selection to the Charter Review Committee, Tom Wells, is who ends up being the main opponent that came up.
Things that make you go?
Manny.
So I don't know about that, but that looked like a double play to me there.
So I got to tell you, Moya, that if what the residents want, and I know the answer to that is rhetorical, it's no. But if you're one that wants more of the same, then you would be easily voting for Tom Wells.
Gotcha.
Right? But if you want fresh change, fresh energy, independent voice, somebody who is doing this not because they need to do this, need in the sense of like, this is not a career change for me. I'm trying to cut if elected, the salary in half because it's public service. I want to do this because I love the city and I have a strong sense of public service, right? And this is why this race is so important. It's a transformational, pivotal moment in Coral Gables history.
It really is.
I say it's important to all the residents. I tell everybody, if don't complain if you don't like how things came out if you don't get involved.
Yep.
And if you don't get involved and you don't make your vote or your voice heard, don't complain about it later. So, however, people want to vote or whatever, but listen, it's important to come out for this runoff. It's important for people to come out. If you can't vote the day that the election is, and you can come and vote on Saturday and Sunday. And if you can make it an outing with the sense of saying before you go for Easter brunch or for anything you're going to do, pass by, make your voice heard, vote for whoever you want to vote for, but at the same time, do that and then go have your Easter brunch with your family. It's important.
We have the most difficult question of the day. You ready?
This is a difficult.
We're gonna throw a curveball at you.
But it's okay. It's
ready?
Okay. It could be your
knowing
your go-to
that you do live in Coral Gables.
Yeah.
Right. You have to give us your top 3 restaurants.
Okay, it's a tough one.
Your go-to.
Give us
okay, here
who and why.
Okay, so and I
number 1. No, sorry, number 3.
Oh, okay. So we're going to go to number 3.
Go backwards.
Okay, so number 3, Fratellino's. I love the Italian there.
Very, very, very yummy. Very yummy. Very yummy.
Right.
What do you like about them?
Well, it's always consistent quality, and they're very personable. They come out and they make you feel like family.
I hear a lot about them on social media. I haven't been yet, but
and they're open late, so it's very nice to be able to be on the street and be able to take in the city
with your freebie.
See, exactly right. So Fratellino, right on Miracle Mile.
Number 2.
Right. So I'm a very, very, very big fan of Callistas on Giralda, right? Okay. So come see Tomas, right? He is authentic Greek, and that food is...
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. No. Callista is fantastic. The lamb is my favorite. But again, it's about the service, the quality, and the way they make you feel at home.
Nice.
He's great guy. But I know it's going to come as a surprise to you, or maybe not, but I got to tell you, Hillstones is my favorite.
Me.
You're not the first one to say that here. They're very consistent. Yeah. The spot to be.
Listen,
you
never go wrong with any damn plate in Hillstone.
The only bad thing about Hillstone is getting a reservation there. It takes a little bit of time.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
That's your problem, bro. I don't have that issue.
When I grow up, I want to be Manny because I'm with you.
Because I know the time frames to go to Hillstone.
That's true. If you're like early before lunch crowd or you're early before dinner, you can get seated.
I call that early seating, like in the cruise ships. First seating, you know what I'm saying? That people just get there the first, the dinner at 5.
Now, those people got their game down. You know, the food is consistent, the service is great, the location can't be big.
Listen, Richard, we wish you the best, and not because of anything, but I really hope the city of Coral Gables will vote their conscience and know the direction the city needs to go and get back to normality in the city and stop with this chaos. I guess we can pick up the sense that's going nationally everywhere. It's just common sense.
Yeah. Common sense.
It's just common sense. So and again, not for anything, but kudos to you.
Thank you.
And your wife and your kids, because I know what it is to be in politics, and it takes a toll. And when people say, "Why do you do this?" You really gotta say it's for the love of your city.
That's it.
It is.
You can tell. It feels like you're doing it for the right reasons too.
Thank you. And if I am lucky enough to win and the residents speak, the work only then begins. That's when
100%.
And I'm ready for it. I'm ready to do it.
And then you'll come back here in 6 months and we can keep you accountable.
Yeah. So we can say it. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you so much. Thank you.